All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I am Joseph Gonzalez, your host of the Daily Closer newsletter, as well as the Daily Closer podcast and YouTube channel. Today, what we have is our special guest from Bryn Mawr, Pennsylvania, Ty Chhan, who's going to be walking us through her latest closing and telling us where the lead came from, how she had the conversation with the lead, and how she got the lead to the closing. Before we do that, Ty Chhan, what I'd like you to do is go ahead and introduce yourself and tell people how they can reach you if they want to send you a referral.
So I serve Pennsylvania, mostly Delaware County, the main line, and parts of Montgomery County. Feel free to shoot me a text, email, or a call at 484-744-9119.
Awesome. And we'll also drop Ty's information down in the description. So you can also find her social media links as well as her phone number. If it's easier for those of you who want to send her or have somebody that's going to her area, you can send her a referral by looking down the description. All right, Ty, let's jump in. So tell me a little bit about the closing you had. I've read a little bit about it, but I want you to kind of give us your perspective on, how this person found you or you found them and kind of go from there.
Okay. So the last closing I had was actually a client referral. I closed out their friends um, at the beginning of the year, and they loved my service so much and what I was able to provide them. They referred their best friends to me a couple of months later. So we started looking. So it's always nice for me. I feel like you have to build the relationships with your current clients to get more referrals from them. So that's where those buyers came from.
You treated somebody really well that you helped purchase a house. Were they purchasing or selling?
And they were purchasing.
Okay, so help somebody. You did a great job. They thought you were so awesome. They're like, hey, I've got this friend that I want to connect you with. All right. And we hear that happens, but I don't know if you know the stats, like 87% of people, maybe even higher, want to use this. 83% want to use the same agent, but only 11% of people use the same agent and or refer that person to somebody else. So number one, kudos to you. Number two, how did they introduce you? What was the method of them introducing you to this person?
It was just a three-way text message. They were just like, hey, this is Ty's information. Give her a call. She's awesome. And then we just took it from there. And I treated them the same way. We, you know, got on a call, did the whole buyer's consultation, asked them what they wanted, what they need, what were their must haves, their budget, and what they wanted to spend per month versus what they were approved for. So that's always helpful for people. I feel like people want to, I guess people want to sell them more than what they can afford. So I always say, what would you like to pay each month? And then we'll go from there.
I love it. I love it. That is perfect. I also believe in that strategy versus like, let's go buy a $500,000 house whenever your max payment is $2,500. Like, it's not going to work. The math's not going to work out that way. I want them to be comfortable and be able to continue making that payment, their mortgage payment. Going back to the text message side of things, and then getting them over to your consultation, buyer's consultation. Do you do the buyer consultation the same every time? Is it always a phone call? It is a Zoom call, and do you always use the same script? How does that look for you?
It's different for each client because other clients who are older want to do the in-person meeting. Younger people just want the phone call. They don't want to be bothered with a Zoom or like a face-to-face. um, so for that one, they were a younger couple. This was their first home. So we just did like a quick 20-minute phone call. And then we met at the first property that they wanted to see. And I kind of like brought my buyer's packet to say, hey, this is what you're going to be signing.
Yeah.
Because people don't know what they're signing when you send off, that huge email. So I say like, hey, you can take this with you, reread it over. I'll be sending you these docs to sign so we can move forward with the transaction.
Awesome. Awesome. So you vary your buyer's consultation based on not just the age of the person, but obviously how they want to communicate as well, right? So let me ask you this. Once you said, okay, let me go ahead and find out how much you want to pay per month, what was the next step in getting to your lender? Do you have a preferred lender? Do you send your lender a three-way text message or do you send them a three-way email or how does that look for your side of things?
So with the lenders, I have three really good lenders. I don't send them one and just call it a day because, each buyer, each client has, their way of communicating and how they would like to communicate. And if you send the one person, they might not communicate the same way or get along with them. So I give them three of my best lenders and I say, hey, give them a call. If you feel like they're the best, match for you, let's get on like a three-way text or a three-way email and I can do your lender introduction.
Awesome. And, I used to teach agents back in the day, don't send an email because that's going to get lost in the shuffle. Send a three-way text introduction and then let the lenders do all the paperwork and stuff on the back end. So go you on understanding like this. I need this person to I needed them to get approved. I'm going to get them to the people I need to get them to and the people I like to work with. That'll get the job done. So go you. The next question is, how long did pre-approval take? And after pre-approval happened, how soon after pre-approval happened did you go start looking at houses with this couple?
So they end up picking one of my preferred lenders that is very proficient in the PFHA grant. He can literally close them in 30 days or less. So when they're interested and I know that they qualify for the PFHA grant, which is a Pennsylvania grant that gives you 5% down payment assistance, he got it done in 24 hours, the pre-approval. So we always have to streamline certain things because we know these clients are interested in buying. The interest rate was lower back then, so we want to make it smooth as possible, and we're taking the necessary steps to get them towards closing.
Okay, fantastic. Now, once you got them there, everything looks good. You got the right lender who knows how to do the PHFSA, right? First time home buyers for Pennsylvania. We'll just call it that for my brain. Once you got them there, how long did it take, or how many houses did it? Well, actually, let's go back a step. Did you set them up on a home search first through your MLS, your website? What did that look like as far as like, hey, these are the houses that we know that you can buy now. Let me go ahead and set you on a search. What did that look like from your end?
Yes, so I set up everything that they told me they needed, certain square footage, all that good stuff. So I just input it in Bright MLS. So I do the first email I send them are hand-picked homes. And then once those are through, I put them on auto search and then they start getting like whatever the MLS pulls. I like doing the hand-picked stuff because I know what they're looking for and I listen to their wants and needs and must-have. So it was really important for me to send the ones that were important to them first so they don't look at like 20 houses.
That's really interesting because especially I would say new agents today don't think about that extra step, right? Like, hey, I'm going to pick these houses for you. These are the hand selected based on your wants, your needs, right? The locations that you specifically told me versus I'm going to go to the MLS. I'm just going to dump the information. That takes a lot more work from somebody, unless you
Mhm.
practiced, of course, but it still takes more work than just dumping it at the MLS. So that's something for those of you who are watching. Make sure you take note of that because hopefully I'm pointing in the right direction. Ty is doing it right. That's the way you're supposed to do it because that extra level of service goes a long way. That's why she got the referral, obviously, right? And I'm sure there are many other things that drove that. Okay, so now you're out home, you're looking at homes. Did they pick one of the houses that you hand selected, or did they decide to look at decide to go look at more of the houses that were from the MLS?
It was one of the few that I picked it from the MLS. And these guys were a little bit more analytical. So, like, even in, the MLS, we wrote notes on each home. So we were like, likes, dislikes, why we liked it. And then we went and reviewed all those notes together through a Zoom call. Depending on what kind of client they are, it's based on the level of service they get, right? So like these people were more analytical. They were like, I guess numbers driven, like, oh, this wasn't like 1,500 square feet. We don't want to look at it. So they wrote their likes and dislikes, and then we sent notes back and forth through Bright MLS, which was great. And then we picked two to go see. One of them was it because they weren't interested in like this and that. They knew what they wanted and they were able to make that decision fairly quickly.
You got to love those type of clients, right?
Yeah.
That's my type of people. My wife and I looked at 3 houses and we're like, we want that one. We started building that house like literally a week later. And those are good people to have. Not everybody's going to be like that. Obviously, we know that as real estate
Mhm.
agents. Great. So they picked the house. Now, this house was a resale property. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
How much was the house? Go ahead. I'll go.
no, it's okay. It's just like an investor's flip, but we know how that goes, right? Like with the flip, we really need to look at the details. And we saw a
Yeah.
couple that weren't great, but this one it had like great craftsmanship.
Awesome. So they bought an investor's flip. They got a good house that an investor actually put some time and attention into, which is nice whenever that happens. Not just lipstick on a pig, right? As they say. Um, I don't know what they say there, but
I say that
um,
too. I'm just like, that's the first time I heard it from somebody else's mouth.
okay, good. Yeah, I mean that's what typically happens, right? In our industry. Okay, so they bought the house. They decided they wanted it. They're moving forward with it. How much was the property?
Property was actually 210.
Okay, so 210. So let's call it a roughly if it's roughly a $6,000 commission check for a $6,000 check because you did a good job for somebody else. You essentially got a bonus for doing a good job, right? And that's a wonderful way to look at that. It's like as long as I do a great job, people are going to send other people to me. Okay, so they got the house. They're getting ready to purchase the house. They put in an offer. Did you guys do a lot of negotiation back and forth with this particular property?
No. So with me, before I put in an offer, I try to build some sort of relationship with the listing agent, just asking them like, what the sellers like to net, what like what are the terms they're willing to do? Like this house has been sitting for like 30 days. Should we offer, asking price or should we offer lower, whatever the number was. And I don't know, for some reason when we often try to put an offer in, there's always someone else putting an offer in, even if it's sitting on the
Magic.
market for 30
Magic.
days. And we're like, well, how can we get a foot up? So we decided to offer, the 210, but we also asked for seller's assist. And the other people who put in the offer offered a lot lower without seller's assist, which ultimately was basically the same thing, but she was netting a lot higher from what we were offering. Yeah, so that was, I don't know if the other agent was building the relationship and asked the same questions as I did with the listing agent, but building that relationship, not with just the buyer, but the listing side is very important.
I don't know how long I didn't ask you this, but how long have you been selling real estate for? Because you do all the right things.
3 years,
How about that?
not the
It's
newbie.
experience. Experience. It's experience. It doesn't take long to get the experience though, right? Once you get your feet wet. Okay, so they take your offer. This person is ready to go to the closing table. Any cold feet on the way to the closing table, or were they like, "This is the house. We've done our math. Everything looks good."
It was good because I'm very particular with houses, and I have to talk to clients out of like not buying a house, even though they're like, "Are we really like this guy?" And I'm like, "No, you don't." you know.
Yeah, yeah.
So this particular house was great. So we were like, let's keep it moving. We got the assist for 8,400, and we were able to get them like 10,500 in grants. They were good. They were balanced at the closing table, so everyone was happy.
Hey, $18,000 in what I would call bonus money for a buyer is a pretty good day, especially on a 210 house. That's
Mhm.
great. So kudos to them and to you. Okay, so as we kind of get to the end of this, right? Everybody who's watching, what you should know is Ty did a great job. Number one, so we'll kind of summarize with her previous client, which I'll ask you just a second about your previous client. Um, Number two, she asked the questions on the buyer's consultation and also asked how they would like to communicate, right? Which are really important things. Found out what their wants, needs were, and exactly what type of house they're looking for. Then went deeper in building a relationship with a listing agent, right? Which a lot of agents don't think of, like, oh, I need to go do that. I used to do that with builders. It makes a massive difference because you're playing both sides of the negotiation to help both sides try to get what they want, right? And not because it's a negotiation. That's the point. But a lot of agents think my person needs to win. It's like, no, both sides typically need to win in order to get this to the closing table. Because sometimes if it's a very contentious relationship, we both know this, Ty, that $300 could sway the deal, right? And it's like,
Yes.
because they don't like each other now for whatever reason. But if you do a good job of massaging that relationship, it's great. And then you went and got your concessions for your buyer and got a grant. And now your buyer has gotten their house. What I want to ask you about next is that first client. Where did the first client come from? Was it somebody you knew? Was it a Facebook lead? How did that person get over to you?
So they were a Zillow lead that came
Yeah.
through. They already had an agent.
How
They
about
were
that?
already working with another lender, and they were upfront about it. They wanted to see a house, so I showed it to them, and I always ask, "Are you working with someone?" You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
because
Very important.
technically, I'm not allowed to show you anything if you are. And they said that they were, and they were extremely unhappy with it. And we spoke a little bit more, and they were able to get out of their contract. They were released from it. So we were able to work together. So it was sad for the other agent that was working with them. But if a client is unhappy and weren't told certain things about certain things, then, you know, someone else has to come along and help them out, right? So,
Part of the game. That's probably I've lost a deal to an agent in my office who was much better at listings than I was back whenever I used to do listings. And he deserved it because he was much better. All right. Was I salty for a couple of days, maybe a week or two? Absolutely. But he
right.
deserved it. And looking back, hindsight is 2020. I should have just asked him to partner with me to show me how he does things. Right. So yeah, I mean, that's part of the game. Okay, cool. So Ty is obviously a rock star. So if you're looking for somebody who does a great job and you want to connect with somebody, if you have clients that are moving to Bryn Mawr, Pennsylvania, Ty's information is going to be down below. Ty, do you have any last closing words that you'd like to tell maybe a new agent or agent who's watching the video right now as far as a tip?
The biggest tip I can give is be yourself. People love working with authentic people, and just create this great customer service based relationship, because that's what it is. They're not just buyers or clients. They're like, they're going to be your best friend at the end of the day, you know? And for me, a lot of my buyers have kept in touch, and, they're like either extended family or like my closest friends. So, yeah.
Love it. Love it. Be authentic, be yourself. Don't try to shy away from being that person that you are. Well, Ty, we appreciate you. This is going to be shared to our daily closer newsletter that has almost 3,000 newsletter subscribers, and to our agent Facebook group that has about 75,000 people. And so we hope that you get some referrals from this down the road. And we appreciate your time and sharing your closing story.
Oh, thank you so much. And thanks for having me.
Hey, it's Joseph Gonzalez. Thank you so much for taking the time to check out this interview. We hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, make sure you like the video, number one, but also subscribe to catch other videos just like this one. And if you're not subscribed to our newsletter, make sure you check the link in the description down below, and that'll get you subscribed to the newsletter so you never miss any of these awesome stories from agents across the United States, Canada, and other places across the world as they share their closing stories. We'll see you in the next video.